What's going on, Dirty Birds? Welcome on into a live edition of Falcons Today. Week 3 almost here. Atlanta, Kansas City showdown on Sunday Night Football. So I want to take the next hour of your time to get everyone ready for this big matchup from the Benz as Patrick Mahomes comes to town to take on Kirk Cousins and the 1-1 Falcons. So let's open up the show by asking who you got, Atlanta or Kansas City? We're going to give people some time to click on the notification, file on in and whatnot, and get ready for the meat and potatoes of our live show. But for the early birds, I want to know who you got, so don't be a stranger. Get in the comment section right now. Already have 60-plus people hanging out with us. I'm giving shout-outs like Nicholas typing Atlanta. Jordan's got ATL. The Kings got ATL. Time and the Buckeyes got ATL. Jason rolling with the Dirty Birds. Peter, the script says Falcons win. A 2-1 start for the Chiefs. I don't hate it. Ian's taking the Chiefs. Boo, Ian. But also, if you're just being honest, I can't clown you for that. We are talking about the Chiefs after all. My own burner, Matthew PD fan, taking Atlanta. Steven Stanley, good to see you in the chat, taking ATL. Josh is taking Atlanta. Luke and Jackie Reed also taking the Dirty Birds. We got someone watching all the way from Germany. Guten Tag. Thank you for watching our live coverage of this upcoming matchup. Robert's taking ATL. Kareem Hunt did go to the Chiefs, so a return, which I don't think many Chiefs fans ever saw happening after his departure from Kansas City. But yeah, we may or may not see Kansas City former leading rusher Kareem Hunt, who was the NFL rushing leader in 2017 as a rookie. But while you're getting your predictions in the comment section below, just lend me 60 seconds of your time to quickly tell you guys about two of our awesome sponsors today, starting with Factor. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are awesome for Falcons fans because with their no prep, no mess meals, you can meet your wellness goals no problem. Dietitian approved meals are ready in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Head to factormeals.com/FalconsChat50 and use code FalconsChat50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code FalconsChat50 at factormeals.com/FalconsChat50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. Prize Picks is also a proud sponsor of today's episode. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. We got nearly 100 people watching right now. So, with that being said, shout out your city for me in the chat. You know I love this one. It's always fun to see how far and wide a fan base stretches. I know we got Germany in the house. I'm sure we got a lot of people from Atlanta watching. But let me know where you are tuning in from. Shout out your city for me real quick in the chat. And then we can get today's show off and running. I've got North Carolina in the house from Nicholas. Appreciate you tuning in, Nick. We've got Connecticut here. Savannah, Georgia, baby. Josh is up in Buffalo. Tyman the Buckeye is in Ohio. Johnny is in Fort Carson, Colorado. We got Augusta here. Munich, Germany. Tony is in Orlando. Andrew's watching from SoCal. Let's see, Iowa from Jordan. Kevin is in Vegas. We got Bakersfield, California. Norcross, Georgia. Somerville, Georgia. Get in the chat. Let me know where you are tuning in from. And if you have not liked our video yet, make sure to go ahead and do so. Hit that thumbs up button, as that will greatly help boost the channel and get more Falcons fans into our live shows. Maine is here. I've always wanted to go to Maine. I saw a cool video of a restaurant in Maine where there's an ice bar, not an ice bar, what's it called? A raw bar, right at the bar where you sit. I love oysters, so Maine's always been high on my bucket list. Parker at the front lines. Jordan, Honolulu. Robert in Atlanta, Georgia. And who's right? To your right? Where are you? Shout out your city. Your city is to your right? Wow, what state is that in? Let's see. Pageland, South Carolina. Producer Reed. It's quite the jokester. Savage Falcon in Savannah, Georgia. Okay. We have a mailbag coming up at the end of our show. So if you have any questions at all going into this big Sunday Night Football matchup, use hashtag Falcons. If you super chat, you'll skip the line. We guarantee your question or your take or your idea gets on screen for everyone watching to see. So if you want to skip the line, a little bit of a fast pass system, but also support the channel at the same time, super chats, greatly appreciated. But if you can't super chat, not a problem at all. Hashtag Falcons. But also make sure to like the video, because that is completely free, and that does go a really long way to help support the channel and continue to grow it. Also, speaking of super chats, I do want to give some quick shout outs to the Dirty Birds Club. We got Jose Santana, Ken Ballard, Trey1222, Jason Lindino, Reese Atkins. We got more members of the Dirty Birds Club, Reed. Yeah, so we'll get the rest of them on screen for you guys in just a second here. But appreciate everyone for going really above and beyond, like Archangel, who's always the minister of morale in the chat, Angry Liquid, Jeebus H. Christ, Dictator JC. If you want to get added to the club to get shout-outs for the entire 2024 season, $100 super chat to join. I know that's not just a drop in the bucket, but if you really like what we do here and you want to get some shout-outs in return while supporting the channel at the same time, greatly appreciate anyone that's able to super chat, as well throw your super chat on screen. With that being said, Taylor Vaughn, a $5 super chat. Taylor, appreciate you asking, is Kirk Cousins the John Stockton of the NFL? That's quite the 90s NBA comp to Kirk Cousins. I don't hate it, though. I feel like, Taylor, part of your comparison here is because they're both white, awkward guys, not awkward, but cringy, dad vibes. You know what I mean? Like embarrassing dad that you tell your dad to shut up when driving to the soccer practice in the carpool lane. I can kind of see how you make those comparisons. I can't really refute it. I guess if Kirk never wins a Super Bowl, he'll kind of go. I think Kirk's a Hall of Famer, right? He's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I think he's been good and consistent for long enough to be an NFL Hall of Famer. So John Stockton's a Hall of Famer. So yeah, Taylor, I think you're onto something here, but I think partially you're just blinded because you see two guys that look like they would fit quite well in Salt Lake City. So you're just connecting a couple of dots there. But Taylor, appreciate your super chat. Rise up, dude. Thank you so much for watching. All right. On today's episode, we've got a fun first segment talking about some unsung heroes going into week 3. And then I wanted to give you guys a little how-to on when it comes to beating the Kansas City Chiefs. It's not easy. Not a lot of teams have done it. But the ones that have done it, they've done it in a variety of ways. So there's not a one-size-fits-all when it comes to dethroning the 2-time defending Super Bowl champs. And then a mailbag, like I mentioned. So hashtag Falcons or super chat like Taylor Vaughn just did. And if you super chat, we'll throw it on screen for everyone watching to see. And we'll include Taylor's question in our mailbag later on. Okay, are we ready to jump into a live edition? No, not at all. I feel like I'm the elementary school teacher, or whenever you're in elementary school and you start the day off by going to the gym and you're sitting crisscross applesauce and they bring in some speaker and they're like, "Good morning, Central Elementary." And they don't get a good enough good morning return. It's I didn't hear that. We have 31 likes right now for 96 people tuned in. That's just an awful and unacceptable ratio. When we get to 40 likes, we'll jump into our first segment, which is all about unsung heroes for Atlanta going into game number 3. But first, Steven Stanley with a $5 super chat. Pete, by the end of the season, who will have more touchdowns? Pitts or Mooney? Rise up. Great question, Steven. I'm going to go with Kyle Pitts. I think he'll just emerge as too much of a red zone target to pick Mooney over him. They're both tied at 1 apiece right now, but I'm going to go with Kyle Pitts. Let me know what you think, though, because I like this question, Steven, and everyone else is more than welcome to play along. But I'm going to go with Pitts.
I'm going with Mooney.
Okay, Mooney had a good touchdown against the Eagles. I mean, broke out of a nice tackle from C.J. Gardner-Johnson. But to me, I think Mooney's touchdowns will be predicated on the big chunk plays, and those can come and go at times. But we know that Kyle Pitts is going to be a staple of the offense when they get inside the 10-yard line. So that's why I'm thinking Kyle Pitts. All right. Are we ready to start today's episode? Yeah, we got 46 likes, so thank you guys for hitting that thumbs up button. And if you're just filing in, make sure to do so as well. But with that being said, let's talk about some of the unsung heroes I have detected through 2 weeks so far. I want to borrow 10 to 15 minutes of your time and talk about some of the unsung heroes for Atlanta following 2 games, and especially that heroic comeback win in Philly against the Eagles, because all eyes are on Bijan Robinson, Kirk Cousins, and the rest of the Pro Bowl talent they have on this team. But I've noticed 2 guys in particular that have really stood out to me in a good way that I just want to give some recognition to. So if you want to hang out with me, let's talk about player number 1, Kaden Elliss. Kaden Elliss has definitely been an unsung hero for the heroic play, we'll call it, at the end of Monday Night Football against the Philadelphia Eagles, where we'll look at the film in a moment. He was a huge factor in forcing that game-sealing interception. So far, though, just 20 tackles, 1 huge QB hit on Jalen Hurts. So he has not been lighting up the box score with sacks, forced fumbles, interceptions, things like that. But I do think Kaden Elliss has shown us that he is a ferocious pass rusher. You can go back to his last year in New Orleans, 2022, 7 sacks. First year with the Falcons, 4 sacks. And I think we're going to see a lot of blitzes from this new Jimmy Lake, Raheem Morris defense. But for me, I want to take a closer look at what Kaden Elliss was able to do on that final play for the Eagles on Monday night. Look back at the film here for a second. Elliss, highlighted in yellow here, he's going to line up in between the left guard and the left tackle. All right, let's fast forward 1.5 seconds later. Kaden Elliss now has beaten 2-time Pro Bowl left guard Landon Dickerson, who barely even got a fingernail on him, and he's going to light up Jalen Hurts, which is going to lead to an inaccurate pass picked off by Jesse Bates. But the average time to throw in the NFL is 2.5 seconds. Like, that's kind of the timer quarterbacks use for the ball needs to come out in 2.5 seconds. So if you're going to draw up a stunt play for Kaden Elliss, where he lines up over the left guard, but he's going to go all the way across the line of scrimmage and then line up over the right guard, and he's going to attack the left guard, you got to have a guy who's got some wheels. Like, there's not a lot of linebackers in the NFL that can get from point A to point B that quickly before the ball gets thrown. Because it's useless if you want to draw up all these super cool stunt plays, but ultimately the quarterback throws the ball before the pass rusher ever gets close to him, and it's just a waste of cardio. He's just running around the offensive line, but he's not getting anywhere near the quarterback in 2.5 seconds. But Elliss, he's a great enough athlete where you can put him over that right guard and right tackle and then have him bounce all the way over to the other side of the line of scrimmage and then get to the quarterback before the ball is released. For me, Kaden Elliss is encroaching in the territory of the "Who's That?" award. So every single season, I identify a "Who's that guy?" on a team. And basically what it means is whenever an opposing team and fan base comes to play a new team, they always seem to leave that game learning about a player that's not a perennial Pro Bowl or a household name, but he made a huge impact in the game. And they all leave going, all right, well, we knew Guy and Go and Jimmy and Joe were going to make big plays on us. but we didn't expect 55 for the Falcons to be lighting it up. Who's that? And by halftime, they are on the depth chart on the roster looking up. Who is 55 for the Falcons? Who the fuck is Caden Ellis? He's the one destroying our offense right now. So right now, I'm going to have Caden Ellis as an early front runner for the Who's That Guy award. Now, who do you think is the all-time underrated Falcons player? This is the pinned comment, so I want to see everyone scrolling down in the comment section and giving me an underrated Falcons player because the former 7th-round pick is making a good case for that right now. YouTube likes to put an ad break around this time, so if they do, take advantage of it, scroll on down, and give me a name. Unsung hero number 2. Let's go with cornerback Mike Hughes. Going into the season, we weren't exactly sure who would be starting opposite of A.J. Terrell, and people were a little bit uneasy. And by people, I mean me, when it comes to Mike Hughes, former first-round pick, starting outside corner when he never really latched on anywhere for the first couple of years of his career. But let's give credit where credit is due, and that is the former first-rounder. Now, before we talk more about Mike Hughes, I do want to fill everyone watching in about our great sponsor today, which is Factor. Fuel up with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. If you're trying to get into shape and you've got some wellness goals, we'll meet those goals with Factor's chef-crafted options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. In fact, at the start of this video, if you started the process for making a Factor meal in your microwave, you could have cooked it, eaten it, and then finished this entire ad read with me all in that short amount of time. And I think for people that are a little tight on time, whether you're busy at school or working, this is a huge plus, but you're not doing it wasting a lot of money and time in the drive-thru. You're getting great quality restaurant meals like filet mignon, shrimp, and blackened salmon, all for a very affordable price. And by the way, speaking of that price, head to factormeals.com/FalconsChat50 and use code FalconsChat50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code FalconsChat50 at factormeals.com/FalconsChat50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. Getting back to Mr. Hughes out of UCF through 2 games so far, so not a huge sample size, but we're collecting some data points. He's been targeted 4 times, giving up 3 completions, but they've all been very short. 21 total yards, no touchdowns, 3 tackles for loss, by the way, so we're seeing a great run-stopping part of his game, which we'll expand on later on in the video here, and 1 pass breakup. But what really jumped out to me was the way he handled week 2. No A.J. Brown, so it's just Devontae Smith going up against A.J. Terrell for much of the game, but no one else for the Eagles really emerged as a viable pass threat, and that's largely because Mike Hughes put him on an island all night long. But it wasn't just his pass his pass coverage skill set that jumped out to me. The run stopping was great as well. But one of the biggest plays he made, I mean, if you go back to that Eagles matchup here, here's Mike Hughes at the goal line, crashing in on a receiver, breaking up a pass to avoid a touchdown. Or how about this play from earlier in the game? You've got D. Alford and Green going on a corner blitz. So Jalen Hurts recognized this before the snap, so he immediately looks towards his tight end Dallas Goedert, because what do you do when the blitz comes? You throw into the blitz. But Mike Hughes, all the way over in yellow, he recognized this as well. He knows that he's kind of the help defender. And while usually you don't go to your corners for making big tackles in the open field against tight ends, Mike Hughes and the rest of the Falcons defense had no issue rallying around Dallas Goedert and forcing a 3rd down. So it's just little plays like that that avoid giving up big chunks of yardage, which lead to scores. So Mike Hughes, I mean, he doesn't have a pick 6 or anything like that so far, but he's doing the little things right. He's keeping the offense, at bay and avoiding them from picking up big chunks of yardage on his half of the field or to his man. So I'm very impressed from what I've seen so far out of Mike Hughes. Him and Caden Ellis have definitely jumped out to me in a really good way. And CB2 was definitely a position of concern going into the year because it was going to be so raw and untested and unproven, whether it was Clark Phillips or Journeyman Hughes, who went from the Vikings to the Chiefs to the Falcons. Now he's kind of finding a home in Atlanta's secondary, and hopefully he can continue his strong play into week 3. Now, if you are still hanging out with us here at the end of the video, you guys are my favorite people on this earth. So drop an ATL for me if you are still watching at the end of the video. That way I know who the end of the video crew is. So when I see you guys in the chat, there's a little bit of a wink here because at the end of the day, I know you're a part of the end of the video crew. Also, the Dirty Birds Club, Jose Santana, Ken Ballard, Trey1222, Jason Landino, Reese Atkins, Archangel, Angry Liquid, Jeebus H. Christ, Dictator JC. Thank you guys so much for being such big supporters of the channel. And if you want to get a shout out all 2024 season long, $100 super chat during our week 3 watch party, and we'll add you to the club. That will do it for us on today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give us a like, a comment, share. There's a bunch of really good cliche YouTube things I can plug right now. But at the end of the day, it does help grow the channel immensely. So if you're still hanging out with us right now, I got to envision you somewhat enjoyed the video. Otherwise, you probably would have left a little while ago. So drop an ATL, like I said, but make sure you hit that like button and subscribe as well. All-time favorite underrated Falcons player. Who is it? Who is it? I also saw a Grand Limousine with a $20 super chat. All right. Oh, I like this from Peter. Let's upset the Swifties. Grand Limousine, thank you so much for your super chat. If you're ever in Atlanta, Houston, and I remember the third one, and I want to say Grand Limousine. I might need a line here. It's Atlanta, Houston, and I want to say Vegas, but there's not a lot of confidence in that one. Check out Grand Limousine, the unofficial limousine sponsor of Falcons Today. Oh, I like this from Salvage Falcon. Jonathan Babineau, great defensive lineman. Mohamed Sanu from Archangel, that's a great one. Jose, you guys are going to hate me for this one, but Matty Ice was that guy. He not underrated for the Falcons. You could say underrated like in the general NFL landscape, but when you're an MVP and a future Hall of Famer, you can't be too underrated, right? Harry Douglas, that's a good one. I like that. Ooh, Brent Grimes. I think I shared my, I wouldn't call it a Brent Grimes story, but 6 months ago-ish, I was rewatching The League, and I didn't think my, at the time, girlfriend would be interested in whatsoever, but she kind of found it funny, and so we ended up kind of watching it together, and there was a season 2 opener where they did, Ruxin did this Super Bowl shuffle, and I was like, who is that in the Falcons uniform in the back? I was like, is that Brent Grimes? I just did not expect to see Brent Grimes on my screen in 2024 doing a Super Bowl shuffle from a probably 13 episode. Let's see. Adrian Claiborne, that's a really good one as well. Nicholas is asking a question for Reed. Reed, all you. Repeat the question.
Oh, okay, sorry.
That's okay.
This is for Reed. Do you think Eagles going to win on Sunday and beat the New Orleans Saints? Yes. And
okay.
I want them to.
I like the confidence.
I think everybody in this chat and everybody in this room wants the Saints to lose.
Yeah.
So I think we can all just agree, let's beat the Saints.
Yeah, I'm with you. Mason B, good to see you. Sorry you missed the beginning of the show, but don't worry. As always, we kind of take the videos we film in the show and then bundle them up or separate them and then push them out as their own videos in case someone's not able to watch during the live show. Ooh, I love the Tevin Coleman selection here. Croy Bierman, that's a good one as well. I remember Croy Bierman just because my mom would always watch, I think it was Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I believe his wife was in it. And so he was on every so often. I was like, I kind of reckon, middle school me was like, I know that name. Now I'm willing to watch the show with my mom until it's all over. Deion Jones, that's a good one. Okay.
Clay said Austin Hooper.
That's big moments.
Yeah.
We can do better. I'm gonna put it that way. I like Taylor Gabriel more. Right. That's a good one. Eric Weems, good DB. Okay, let's jump into our next segment, which is all about how to beat the Chiefs. Now, I will kind of say, like, full disclosure, if I really had the answers to beating Kansas City, I would probably be a DC for the Broncos or the Chargers or the Raiders. But I've done my best to try and put together a bite-sized game plan for Atlanta to knock off the Chiefs, which I did last week for the Eagles, and pretty much all three of the weaknesses for Philly were exploited. They have a bad run defense. Bijan ran all over them. Blitz Jalen Hurts. We saw Caden Ellis on the last play blitz Jalen Hurts, and that led to an interception. And then what was the third Eagles' weakness to exploit? Oh, new secondary. Wow, I feel like a couple of receivers had touchdowns for Atlanta. Darnell Mooney, and Drake London. So I'm sort of 3 for 3 right there. So hopefully we can go 3 for 3 again. All right, I'm ready when you guys are. 120 people watching, 69 likes. Actually, no one liked the video. Just keep it as is. But don't unlike it, though. Don't be the funny guy that unlikes it. I'm ready if you are Mr. Brett Favre. I don't know if he can be called an underrated Falcon. Steven Stanley, a $5 super chat. Here, let's throw Stevens on, and then we'll jump into our next segment here. We get some score predictions in right now. Boomstick, 28-24 Atlanta. All right. Steven Stanley. Also to read. Is it working? Okay, perfect. All right, here we go. Steven Stanley. Also to read. How do you feel about the Falcons being a more superior bird than the Eagles? Much love, y'all. I'm kind of conflicted here.
So,
The patriotism in me says there's nothing more superior than the eagle.
I know.
It's a badass bird. You ever seen the eagle in the wild?
It's like I get like a burst of freedom.
Like wild or zoo. But have you ever seen an eagle
they're huge
face to face? They are ginormous. They're kind of like
watching an eagle like fly and pick up a fish and then fly off.
It's kind of like a medium-sized dog with wings.
Yeah.
We are like, did not expect that to be that big.
And you're like, oh, I would love to see an eagle up close. And then you get up to an eagle up close and you're like, okay, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm good. Like I saw it. You're like, it's kind of scary.
Is it Falcons or Eagles that kill their prey by like diving towards the ground? And
I think both.
I feel like I've read a fun fact. Like one of them
Falcon.
dives towards the earth, and the speed they go at suffocates, I think, their prey.
Like
I learned this, and now I'm only getting like 70% of it right. So if someone knows the full story, I would love a lifeline right now. It's a hawk. What is it that it does?
It's a hawk.
Falcons dive. It's called a steep, and Falcons are actually Curtis. Like now, it's starting to come back to me. I feel like I'm coming out of like an amnesia moment here.
Oh my god, that would be crazy. Imagine you just.
I think it's a falcon. They dive. I'm not gonna pull it. I'm not gonna remember it. But someone else help me out in the comment section here. Let's get into our Week 3 kind of final preview, a how-to when it comes to taking down the Patrick Mahomes-led Kansas City Chiefs, which has not been done a whole lot. I mean, they lost 6 times in the regular season a year ago, so let's not act like there's a 0% chance the Chiefs lose a game this year, but it's going to take a lot of good play from the Falcons and a lot of mistakes from the Chiefs, because that usually is like the common denominator when it comes to the Chiefs losing games. All right, we ready? Okay. Here we go. We're going to run through a how-to when it comes to taking down the Kansas City Chiefs. But shoot your shot for me in the comment section right now. Predict the score, Falcons versus Chiefs. I'm going to give my score prediction in the video, so stick around for that. But let's jump into another edition of Falcons Today. What's going on, Falcons fans? Falcons Chiefs kicking off in only a matter of hours. So I want to run through a how-to when it comes to taking down the Chiefs and running through some of their biggest weaknesses. We did this last week for the Eagles, and the 3 weaknesses we identified that week which were bad run defense. Bijan ran all over them. Blitzing Jalen Hurts. Caden Ellis did that to lead to an interception by Jesse Bates, and attacked their new DBs. Darnell Mooney scored on C.J. Gardner-Johnson. So check, check, check. So hopefully we'll go 3 for 3 again here. But the first weakness I've noticed from Kansas City, it's a lack of a run game. And this is mostly because of Isaiah Pacheco's injury. Their star running back broke his leg after week 2, and as a result, they are putting together kind of like a 2017 who's who of fantasy running back. So with Pacheco on injured reserve and lost for the next month and a half, it's Samaje Perine, Kareem Hunt from the practice squad, and then UDFA Carson Steele, sort of next man up here, which is probably going to be a committee backfield for Kansas City. So we'll get you guys familiar with these 3 backs, but at the end of the day, you got to smell blood in the water right now with Pacheco down and Samaje Perine, who's more of a receiving back first and a pass protector than a true running back, kind of next guy up here. UDFA Carson Steele, who I know Andy Reid likes a lot, but I don't think he's a traditional 3-down running back. He's more of a fullback or a short yardage situation, but he's kind of a crazy guy or all-time football guy. And then you've got Kareem Hunt, who at one point was at the top of the mountain, right? He led the NFL in rushing as a rookie. Ultimately, some off-the-field incidents got him released from the Chiefs. He had some good years with the Browns, but I think he is somewhat washed when it comes to his speed and his burst. But he was the first running back Kansas City called when Pacheco went down, so clearly they still think he's got some gas left in the tank. Now, that being said, I feel like this is a great opportunity for Atlanta to capitalize on a lack of identity in the run game with Pacheco gone and the Falcons being the first test for Kansas City to roll out their new ground game. So the talk of the town the last few days has been the NFL offenses league-wide kind of suck right now. I mean, everything's at like basically a career or season low, league low through 2 weeks so far. And one suggestion, and a horrible one too, that Mel Kiper had was, let's ban 2 high safeties because that is limiting the passing game, and quarterbacks are just going for shorter passes right now because they don't feel like they can get the deep ball down. Now, longtime safety Chris Harris said, hey, you don't want 2 high looks? Run the ball. Now, for Kansas City, that's going to be a little bit more difficult to do with Pacheco down. But I went back and watched some of the tape of Chiefs-Bengals from week 2. And Patrick Mahomes, what do you know? One of his 2 interceptions in this game came when the Bengals lined up in a 2 high safety look. You got 2 safeties more than 10 yards off the line of scrimmage. And if we fast forward here to this next shot, this is just as Patrick Mahomes is releasing the football. And look at the 2 safeties. They've got the 2 nearest receivers somewhat guarded and covered. Now, Mahomes is still Mahomes, so I won't say that he can't make a completed pass to either one of those guys, but he opts to go with Travis Kelce over the middle of the field. And that's where he gets in trouble and he gets picked off. Now, having those 2 high safeties kind of takes away the deeper route concept, so Mahomes decides, let's go with the shorter option. Ultimately, not a good decision. It's a pick for the Bengals, but if you make Mahomes, and I might regret this, like, take away the deep shots because of Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons, and all of a sudden they've got to run the ball with Kareem Hunt and Samaje Perine, or test Bates and Simmons, which is not a good idea for Mahomes, even though he is Patrick Mahomes. I still don't think going up against Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons time and time again over the middle of the field is going to yield you a positive result. You might be able to escape with a, less than normal Mahomes teams tend to get week to week. So a lack of a ground game might force Mahomes to try and go deep more often than he normally would, and that's where you're going to run into issues with a couple of All-Pro and Pro Bowl guys in Bates and Simmons. Now, before we look at the next 2 weaknesses for the Chiefs that Atlanta must exploit, we are doing a sub-battle with our Chiefs channel here at Chat Sports, and we are taking it to them right now, but don't take your foot off the gas. Let's step on their throats and let's win this sub battle. Hit that subscribe button down below if you want to beat Kansas City on the field on Sunday night. All right, second weakness here. You got a rookie left tackle going for this Chiefs offensive line. Matthew Judon, Lorenzo Carter, maybe even a little bit of Grady Jarrett, probably not, but if you want to do some stunts and get creative, they got to attack this kid. And I'll expand on this in more detail in just a moment. But today's show is made possible thanks to our great sponsor, Prize Picks. That's America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. I'm talking turning $10 into $1,000. Now, for the entire month of September, the Prize Picks app has Caleb Williams' passing yards at half a yard. So that's a free more right there. And then I took the more on Kirk Cousins' passing yards after making it a goblin, which lowers the stat projection, but it does not net you a great payout, or a bigger payout, I should say. But I still like taking the more on Kirk Cousins and Bijan Robinson. And all of a sudden, I go 2 for 3 here thanks to their flex play. I can still come home with some cash. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get you $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. So getting back to the weaknesses for the Chiefs, we need to talk about exploiting. The left tackle for Kansas City, Kingsley Suamataia. He comes over from BYU, and he is a victim, I would say, of what is the Atlanta Falcons' defensive game plan going into this week. There just needs to be a focal point made by this Chiefs defensive line, by this Falcons defensive line to smell blood in the water a little bit with some rookie fresh blood at left tackle and go, let's attack. Let's keep sending bodies his way and force him to beat us and not let him off the hook here. So if we look at the Kansas City Chiefs front five on the offensive side of the football here, you're going to see they've got a lot of really good pieces, right? They've got Trey Smith. They've got Creed Humphrey. But at the other side, you've got a lot of really good pieces on this Atlanta defensive line. Zach Harrison, David Onyemata, Grady Jarrett. So I'm challenging those guys, plus Matthew Judon and Lorenzo Carter, to wreak havoc on Kingsley, who is making just his 3rd career NFL start. And through 2 games so far, he hasn't been downright bad, but he hasn't been like Rashawn Slater, Penei Sewell, or Tristan Wirfs good right out of the gun. So if you look at the PFF grades through his first 2 games, 48.9 against the Ravens, 43.3 against the Bengals. This to me is a weakness, and I hope it's something, and it's a matchup that Atlanta takes advantage of, right? Don't just kind of play one-on-one with Kingsley. Let's throw a bunch of different looks at him. Let's make him uncomfortable. Let's put more on his plate than any team has done up to this point, because I'm sure Patrick Mahomes would not like to be running around for his life, and that's usually when you get a few mistakes out of Mahomes. Again, he's Patrick Mahomes. He's the best in the NFL right now. I'm not going to try and downplay him, but I always go back to that Chiefs-Bucs Super Bowl when the Buccaneers demolished Kansas City. And how do they do it? Well, Eric Fisher, their all-pro, Pro Bowl left tackle, was not in the game because he got injured in the AFC Championship game, and the Buccaneers capitalized on that. Hopefully Atlanta can do the same with an inexperienced left tackle protecting Mahomes' blind side. And then third and final weakness, just some unusual turnovers so far by KC that I don't want to let Atlanta go undetected and let them off the hook for. We shared this graphic earlier this week, but I think it's a really important and insightful graphic, and there's a lot we can learn from it. So what we have here on screen for you is Patrick Mahomes' stats through the first 2 weeks on the right-hand side. And on the left-hand side, it is the average of the first 2 games from the 2018 to the 2023 season. In the first 2 games of the last 6 years, he was averaging 6 touchdowns, essentially. Through 2 games so far this year, 3 touchdowns. He was averaging half an interception in weeks 1 through 2 the previous 6 years. Weeks 1 through 2 of 2024, 3 interceptions. Sacks, more than double than what he usually gives up on average in weeks 1 through 2. Kansas City does not have an Achilles heel. Like, I wish I could tell you there is a, hey, if you squeeze this one pressure point, you're going to win. But they can be mortal at times. When they commit 2 or more turnovers since Mahomes took over in 2018, while they still have a winning record, it's not nearly as good when they only commit 0 to 1 turnovers. 20-14 is a much better piece of the pie than 55-10 when they either don't turn it over at all or it's just 1 turnover. So obviously, Captain Obvious here, force a bunch of turnovers and you're going to be in good shape. But to me, I think if you put some pressure on the left tackle and you eliminate the ground game, forcing Mahomes to attack that too high safety look where you've got 2 incredible safeties with Bates and Simmons, and you start forcing some turnovers, you're going to have a much better chance of being in the win column than when you don't force any turnovers or just 1 turnover at all. So who you got in this game, Falcons or Chiefs? Let me know in the comment section below. I want to see only ATLs. It's almost time. It's almost here. Let's get some good vibes going, some good mojo. I'm going to take the Falcons to win this one. I thought about falling on my sword and going Chiefs win, which I did last week for the Eagles when I openly said I'm going to pick the Eagles so that I am wrong, since I was wrong week 1. But this time, I'm going to go with my gut. And my gut tells me Falcons win it 23-21. Who you got? Atlanta or Kansas City? Let me know in the comment section below. Oh, I love this. There's no way the Chiefs lose. Do you guys know that the biggest favorites in week 1 and in week 2 both lost? Week 1, it was the Bengals against the Patriots. Week 2 was the Ravens against the Raiders. First time since 1980, I think I heard on part of my take, that the biggest favorite lost in week 1 and week 2. So while the Falcons are not the biggest dog in week 3, why not us? You know what I mean? It's the NFL. It's one of the greatest things about this league. No professional sports league has more parity than the NFL. Any given Sunday, baby. You just keep rewatching that movie and you'll talk yourself into anything.
I think this is going to be the biggest thing.
Yeah.
That's going to be the biggest thing. A lack of a run game. Because if he keeps throwing to Justin Simmons and Jesse Bates, he's going to get tired of it. And he's going to want to run the ball, and they can't.
The thing is, he is Patrick Mahomes, so he's on the very short list of quarterbacks that would be able to throw to Bates and Simmons all night and beat them. Like, most other quarterbacks, that's where you go, hey, what happened? Oh, well, they had to unfortunately run their offense through the middle of the field because they couldn't run the ball, and that's when the safeties came alive. But if there's one quarterback that can overcome that, it's probably Mahomes and Allen. Those are the only 2 guys, really. Maybe Burrow. Okay.
I like that from Boomstick.
Boomstick. Simmons is Mahomes' daddy. Simmons has picked off Patrick Mahomes more than any other quarterback in his career. I also think Patrick Mahomes has thrown more interceptions to Justin Simmons than any other player in his career. But, of course, playing him twice when he was on the Broncos helped get enough games and just overall opportunities to make those plays. But still, Justin Simmons, he has a knack for getting the worst out of Mahomes, and I'm very happy he's on the Falcons roster on Sunday night. All right, let's get into our mailbag next. Hashtag Falcons or Super Chat. If you Super Chat, you skip the line. We guarantee your question gets on screen, like we've seen from Steven and Taylor and Grand Limousine. So if you have any questions at all going into this game, hashtag Falcons in the chat right now, or Super Chat, like I just mentioned, to skip the line, and we'll throw it on for everyone watching. I see Brandon's got a question in. I want to see a question come in from Archangel, who usually gets a question in, so I'm sure he's good for 1 or 2. Lav and Peter and Nicholas. I'm going to call you guys out by name right now. Get a question in, hashtag Falcons, and we'll get our mailbag off and running here. Boomstick, I like it. Archangel's getting his question in here just a moment. He's got one. I love it. I love it. All right. We got 162 people watching, 93 likes. So we're 7 likes away from 100 likes. Remember to hit that thumbs up button if you have not already. Lav, I know. You were sleeping at your desk, and I called you out. Are we ready? Okay. So one more plug here. Hashtag Falcons in case a question pops in your head, or super chat, and we'll put you at the front with everyone else that's super chatted. Jason Greenway, appreciate your question. We got Archangel. All right, let's ride here. What's going on, everyone? Welcome on into a Falcons Today Mailbag edition. I'm answering questions that came in during our live show, which runs every single Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern. So come hang out with us if you have a question you would like to ask for next week's show. First question coming in from Steven Stanley. Steven asks, also to Reed, our producer, how do you feel about the Falcons being a more superior bird than the Eagles? I don't know if I've ever seen a fan base like truly stretch out Victory Tuesday as much as the Falcons fan base has. Like, I was playing NCAA with one of my friends the other night who lives in Atlanta, Decatur, and we were talking about how like this felt like the biggest win in 6 years probably. Like, go back to like 2017-ish. This win was just monumental, it felt like, for kind of getting this team on the right path. Robert, over or under 3 touchdowns for Kirk Cousins. The Chiefs, they have a very good defense. I'm going to take the under on 3 passing touchdowns for Kirk Cousins. I think we're going to see a Bijan Robinson rushing score. We're due for one, so give me one touchdown on the ground from Robinson. I'll take 2 Kirk Cousins passing touchdowns, and then maybe sprinkle in 1 or 2 Younghoe Koo field goals. And hopefully the defense can, slow down Mahomes enough for let 23 to 24 points by the offense be enough. Kevin Kuhn, do you think Darnell Mooney will outperform Drake London this year? No, I do not. Drake London is one of the most talented wide receivers. The word talent gets thrown around a lot by analysts and commentators as like a blanket that covers anyone that's just good, but they don't know how good they are or what their skill set is. For London, he is truly so talented that he was able to put up monster numbers with horrible quarterback play. And we saw in week 2, as Kirk Cousins rebounded from week 1 and looked a lot more healthy, that London in this offense with Kirk Cousins is only going to go up. So I'm going with Drake London. Heights or 7. Do you think we see Rook on Sunday? Oddly enough, one of my coworkers asked, hey, why have Rukaroro and Brandon Dorlus not played? And I was like, short answer, they like their veterans, and maybe they just haven't earned snaps on Sunday from the practice on Monday, or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So do I think we'll see Rook on Sunday? Unless we see an injury unfold, I don't see any reason to believe we will see Rook, which is a little bit concerning that your second-round pick can't really make his way onto the field even for 10 to 15 snaps in kind of a rotation. But I'm not holding my breath as long as Grady Jarrett, David Onyemata, Eddie Goldman, and the rest of this defensive line rotation continue to play well. Eric Williams, do you think Kyle Pitts and Kirk make Pro Bowl this upcoming season? I definitely think it's possible if both players' chemistry is done well beginning to end. I think it's feasible. Pro Bowl is just such a joke now because what happens when 5 guys pass on going to the Pro Bowl and you get Tyler Huntley as a Pro Bowl quarterback? Like, do you really count him as a Pro Bowler then, or like Pro Bowl level that season? No. So I wish ultimately they only counted Pro Bowls to the guys who initially received the votes for them. And if they don't go to the Pro Bowl and someone else goes in their place, cool. Good for them. They get a paid weekend in Vegas or wherever the Pro Bowl is, and they get to play flag football. But they should not be recognized as a Pro Bowler because they were the backup for it. So I feel like Pro Bowl should only be recognized by the initial vote receivers. And if that's the case, I think Kirk, so early, it's really tough to say. But yeah, I wouldn't rule it out because No one offensively is really impressing all that much. Eric, thank you so much for your question, though. Mason B, no way the Falcons win that game over the last 3 years with old Matt Ryan, Marcus Mariota, or Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke. Thank you, Kirko. You like that? Yeah, let's just play it back for a moment. Like, let's pretend like Desmond Ridder, let's just go with a recent example, was the quarterback last night. Everything's the same, but Ridder's at quarterback. I could see the Falcons being down 6 points with the ball back at the end of the game. Like, they had some close games last year. They won 7 games. But there's just no way Desmond Ridder leads him down the field. He either throws an interception or turnover on downs. So, yeah, absolutely, Mason. Thank you, Kirko. Now, I do want to give a quick shout-out to our sponsor. Yeah, let's do that, Reed. Factor today. So, our awesome sponsor, Factor, has a great deal for Falcons fans. If you are trying to kind of get your wellness goals in check, well, with Factor's chef-crafted meals that include Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto, they've got fresh, never-frozen meals that are dietitian-approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy great-tasting, nutritious meals. Enjoy effortless support for your lifestyle. Choose from 6 menu preferences to help manage your calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, or simply eat well balanced. Crush your wellness goals this month with dietitian-approved meals and ingredients that you can trust. Head to factormeals.com/FalconsChat50 and use code FalconsChat50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code FalconsChat50 at factormeals.com/FalconsChat50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. Next question is rolling in from after Mason B's Jason Greenway here. You think this the big Pitts game? I'm waiting potentially CLNS rise the F up. If we're talking about what's going to create a good environment for that big Kyle Pitts game that you're trying to speak into existence, Jason, you got to start by looking at the opposing linebackers. You've got Drew Tranquill. You've got, what's his face out of Mizzou? His name will come to me in a second here, and Leo Chenal. And that's a pretty good linebacking core right there. So from a matchup perspective with Justin Reed at safety, I don't love this to be the breakout game for Kyle Pitts, just based on how good the Chiefs linebackers are. But at the end of the day, Nick Bolton, thank you, something to myself. At the end of the day, any given Sunday, I know that's not maybe the response you were looking for, but matchup-wise, I'm not loving this for Kyle Pitts to have his big game. Jose Santana, PD, will we see a good balance of Tyler Algier and Bijan this week? I think we're already seeing a good balance as is. Like when Algier's on the field, he's making impact plays. He's got great runs. He's flying under the radar. And Bijan, to me, doesn't look like he's getting overworked. I mean, he had, 13, 14 carries on Monday night. So I like the current balance they have. I don't think you need to tweak it much at all. Like, I don't want to see Bijan off the field if he feels well-rested and ready to roll. But if Algier's got kind of a couple of good runs going, sure, you can keep him in for an extra play or two. But as things stand right now, I like the balance based off Monday night between the two backs. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Maya's World. So has the biggest challenge. So what's the biggest challenge against the Chiefs? They've got this one guy, Mahomes, who's pretty good, I've heard. He's going to be a challenge. Listen, the Chiefs lost 6 games last year in the regular season. They lost those 6 games in a variety of fashion. One of them was 2 defensive scores by the Raiders in Kansas City on Monday night. Another one was Josh Allen and the Bills putting together an awesome offensive performance and Kadarius Toney not lining up on sides. So, like, the Chiefs have lost games in a variety of ways, meaning it doesn't just take, like, hey, if you want to beat Kansas City, it's going to come down to throwing for 300-plus yards. No, it's not that black and white. But the biggest challenge is going to have to be, like, how do you solve for Patrick Mahomes? How do you make sure he doesn't just completely take over the game and create Mahomes play after Mahomes play. Now, the short answer to that is I think you try and eliminate the big plays, right? Try to keep the ball in front of you, which a lot of teams are doing right now with 2 safety looks. And you definitely don't let them off the hook with no real ground attack after Pacheco's injury. Like, don't let this be a Jordan Mason game where it's just a next man up mentality, plug and play, and who the heck is Carson Steele and why does he have 75 yards to half? Like, no. Make the Chiefs suffer without having their starting running back, and then don't let Mahomes rip off the big plays to Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, and of course, Travis Kelce. Maya's World, appreciate your question very much. We got a couple of super chats here. Oh, first, Grand Limousine. Do you think Bijan Robinson will go over 100 rushing yards against Kansas City? If so, would complimentary play by the team be enough to get us the win? Robinson's been sniffing around the 100-yard mark. I feel bad because from a basic examination level, we tend to evaluate individual game performances by backs if they reach 100 yards on the ground. But Bijan gets a lot of his touches and yards through the air. So he always manages to get 100 yards. It's just a combination of through the air and on the ground. So for that reason, I think we may not see Bijan absolutely get to 100 yards because they've got a good defense in Kansas City and a lot of good linebackers. But I've got confidence that he'll get to 100 all-purpose yards. And to me, that is pretty much just as good as 100 rushing yards because whether the ball gets through, 100 yards on the ground or 75 on the ground and 25 through the air, it's still 100 yards. So I like him to get over 100 all-purpose yards. Dat1 Falcons fan. Over or under 5.5 times Taylor Swift is shown, and 6.5 times the ref tried to rig the game for us in favor of the Chiefs. For Taylor, I do think they have pulled back a little bit. 5.5 is a big number. I'm going to go with under because I like it at 5. Like, if you had asked me to make the line, I too would have done 5.5, and I like it at 5. So I'll go with the under on that. For 6.5, I'm going to go with the under as well. Also, just a very big number, but I do like where your head is at. I just feel like people were upset about the pass interference call on 4th down for the Bengals to extend the Chiefs' drive and have them win with the Harrison Butker walk-off field goal. And, yeah, it was the right call. It was PI, but it just seems to always happen in the Chiefs' favor. So we're all just sick and tired of it. But I'll take the under on both of these. Let's revisit them, Dat1 Falcons fan, during the game. All right, who you got, though? Falcons or Chiefs? Let me know in the comment section below. Before I let you guys get on out of here with the rest of your day, give me an ATL or a KC in the comment section. Make sure to like and subscribe as well. And I'll see you guys all Sunday night for our watch party. All right. I'm sorry. Taylor, is Kirk Cousins. We've had some software issues, Taylor, for full transparency, where our super chats, I don't think I'm going to bore you with the software, but sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. Like the hashtag Falcons, for example, like that's our software pulling it from the chat. We have software that pulls super chats, but it's kind of like that Jerry Seinfeld. Like anyone can take a reservation. Can you hold a reservation? Anyone can take a super chat. Can you hold a super chat? Our software is not holding the super chats. It's very frustrating. Okay. Steven, appreciate your super chat as well, though. Okay. Ark, what happened to Archangel's questions? I don't know. You got to take that with the Reed. Reed's he's the question picker.
So, Archangel, sometimes with the questions, I don't want to do repeat questions. But I know that you have a good question, so I was like, we can ask it after we actually do the mailbag. It's kind of tough when the type of question is one we just answered.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So I try and separate it a little bit, but we can answer them now. Which is
good.
Let's
throw Archangel's question on here. If we get some more super chats, we'll continue to hang out and stay live with you guys. Otherwise, we do have to get on going here so other channels can come into the studio and film their content. Archangel. Don't get me wrong, I love Bijan, but just like everyone else, Algier doesn't fumble the ball, and Algier is our thunder to Bijan lightning like Freeman and Coleman. So, let me look at the actual numbers because I don't have them memorized in terms of snaps and touches from week 2. I felt like week 2 was a good balance. So let's take a closer look at it here. Let's get the numbers in front of us. So week 2, let's just start with snap count, and then we'll look at carries. All right. Bijan Robinson in week 2 took 46 snaps. That was 75% of the game. Compared to Tyler Algier, 13 snaps, which was 21% of the game. So it's a decent gap between those two there, 75% to 21%. I don't know how much more you'd want to give Tyler Algier. Like, you want it to be a 70-30, right? You want to take away 3 snaps from Bijan and give 3 snaps to Algier. Like, are 3 snaps really something worth crying over? Not crying, but you know the expression I'm getting at here. Like, spoiled milk over? How many carries? Like, Bijan had, let's see. He had 14 carries. Guys, Algier had 9 carries. Like, it's already a pretty good split if you ask me. So, listen, like, you won't have to, like, twist my arm over giving Algier an extra carry. But, like, I think right now it's at a good combination. 14 carries for Bijan, 9 carries for Algier. I liked it. Like, I think they pushed the right buttons at the right times in week 2. Week 1 was a different story. Week 1 was a much bigger disparity, and I think they corrected that in week 2. Archangel with another question. How is Tyler's health? Can you give me a last name? Tyler Algier? I think he's pretty healthy. I mean, I'm going to pull up the Falcons injury report because I just want to see, like...
Who is it? Tyler Algier, Archangel? Oh, he said he was limping.
Oh, Tyler Algier. He was a full participant in practice today. So, I would say his health is pretty good. He was not someone on my radar as a genuine concern going into this week. Yeah, he was a full participant today, as Carson points out as well. So, we're all good on that front. All right. That will do it for us on today's live show. I really appreciate, as always, everyone that comes and hangs out with us during this, hour-long time to just kind of shoot the shit a little bit, hang out, and just talk about the Dirty Birds. So enjoy the rest of your Thursday. We got Thursday Night Football. Who do you got tonight? I'm thinking, Patriots, Jets in New York. I'm thinking the Jets in a close one. I like the Jets in a close one. I like the Patriots to cover, but I like the Jets in a close one because I still don't really like the Jets as a team. Like, I don't think they're a very good team. So give me the Jets. We'll throw the Dirty Birds Club on screen one more time here. Shout out to Jose Santana, Archangel, who are current members of that club in the chat right now. I'm thinking, okay, Grand Limousine thinks the Patriots are going to win. I don't hate it. The Patriots have beaten the Jets for 10 straight years. They always beat the Jets. Did the Jets win last year at the very end of the season? Now I'm having an Alzheimer's moment. Jets last year, 2023, they did beat the Patriots. I guess they haven't beaten the Patriots at home in a decade. That might be the stat I saw. But yeah, it's still the Jets. I'm gonna go with the Jets in a close one. 23-20.